Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. This is the recording for skills at the rate 100 where for 100 days we are bringing for you 100 different speakers from all over the country.
The speaker is Mangala Herkal from Pune, and we have learned how growth mindset can be developed and why corporates value it.
Also, this video is sponsored by Soulful Success Academy by Komal Botra, who is a passionate life and mindset coach. She has trained over 500 plus professionals and individuals who help achieve their full potential. More of them in the link in the description. So now, what are we waiting for? Let's go.
Hello everyone, good evening, and first of all thank you everyone, all the participants who have joined us this evening. Weekend evening, generally people tend to stay outside and relax and everything, but many of you are there. So thank you first of all the participants. Today we are assembled for a very special class, and today is the 31st session for skills at the rate 100, where we are trying to bring for you different speakers from all over the country for different skills. We have a very special speaker today and a very special topic, growth mindset. The objective of choosing this type of topic was that there are no specific sessions for us where we can learn this thing. We generally learn through practice or looking at others. So there is no specific guidelines how to follow this or what is the importance of this topic. That's why we have a very special speaker from Pune, Mangala Harkalji. She is an MA in English, French, PhD in marketing, and also advanced diploma in business French, Paris. So thank you, Mangalaji, for accepting our invitation, and we hope we are going to have a great session. Thank you. Over to you,
Yeah.
Mangalaji.
Thank you for this group, and a special thanks right at the beginning to Lokesh sir. It's not just accepting us as a speaker, but he's a great motivator, and he never tells us anything which will hurt us. So here is the first learning for growth, I think. So thank you, Lokesh sir. Special thanks to you. Okay, I am Mangala Herkal from Pune, and we are going to, our topic for the day is developing a growth mindset. Why individuals need it and why do companies want it? So at the outset, I'd like to say this is not in the sense of an economic terms like increasing GDP and all. We're talking in terms of human resources, which can really, we can upgrade and bring about qualitative performance. So our career is really successful. So at the outset, let us open up our minds to this idea, because like a parachute, unless you open it up, it doesn't function. So let our minds also be in that manner. I'll be using very simple language for everybody to grasp, because the main idea is to grasp ideas and not to impress you with the language. I'm not going to talk in terms of language of Shashi Tharoor. I'll talk in simple language. So thinking is not a hurdle, but a powerful medium of empowerment. Let us understand this. So at the outset, what will be my format? I'll be talking about what is growth mindset. Then we'll talk about characteristics of this new mindset, and how this new next would be how this new mindset affects us at the workplace, how you can develop it, and what is professional growth and what is individual growth. And then lastly, I'll talk in terms of I'll take examples of some companies which have had a growth mindset and which have been successful, and other examples who did not take up this growth mindset and so they were not successful. So I get going. I'll first start by quoting Howard Tucker, who is a neurologist and a lawyer. He's 92 years old, and what he has to say is retirement is a real enemy of longevity. If you stop working, learning, moving, it's like telling your body and your mind that you are obsolete. So his advice is don't retire from life, but retire from inaction. Now, to support him, you have this great American, Napoleon Hill, who also says whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Now, why do we need this type of a new mindset? Because today the job environment is very demanding. The first thing that every employer or every company wants is qualitative performance. Now, what do I mean by quality? Quality could be in terms of the projects, quality could be in the terms of the decisions that I take, quality could be in cost cutting measures, quality could be in bringing about efficiency. Quality could be in terms of technology, how I can incorporate AI and give a better performance. So quality seems to be the login word which opens up so many avenues. See, after independence, when the Britishers left India, the education system was not very powerful. So what was demanded was a, flat, all encompassing education. But today, after all these years, what we want is quality, niche, specialized, and exclusive ideas and innovation. So, what do we need to have for that? Is an alchemist of the mind, an agent of change which will take up issues, which will search for alternatives, and in due course bring about transformation. Now, nearer us, you must have seen that we all get up in the morning and we brush our teeth. If we brush away all the negativities or negative thoughts, we brush away all the routine ideas, then what would remain would be the powerful, innovative, and creative ideas. In fact, when Mukesh Ambani were at an interview, you know what he said, and I quote, "We need to develop the power to transform curiosity into knowledge, knowledge into commercial value, and commercial value into wisdom." So all research should lead to development of the self, the mind, and which is useful for society. So now I come to what is exactly is the definition of this growth mindset. It is the belief that one can improve one's abilities and talents through time, through efforts, learning, and dedication. It is the power to decide, power to build about this competence, power to increase our abilities, power to, we all have a natural aptitude, but with effort, with learning, with persistence, we can really make it very, very powerful. And that is what is needed. Now, for this, to have this type of a mindset, what we need to do is two things. One, we plan in such a way that I develop what shall I say, a growth mindset. Planning could be conscious efforts which I take. Consciously, I approach universities. Consciously, I take part in meetings. Consciously, I take upon challenges. And so, planning is linked to that. Planning would bring about a better way of thinking, better way of finding solutions, and that is what it is. Even awareness, I'll speak at great length as to how we can make ourselves aware and bring about this growth mindset. You know, when Winston Churchill, was asked what he would do to cut down the tree which was blocking his way out of the cabin, he said, "How many hours will it take?" So the expert told him it will take 10 hours. Winston Churchill said, 8 hours I do planning and 2 hours fatafat I do cutting. So that is what it is. Planning has a uh, strong, what shall I say, strong input so far as developing a growth mindset. Now let us see what is the difference between a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. A growth mindset is, a fixed mindset is, there are people who think they know everything. Why should I attend conferences? I have nothing to learn. Why should I take up a degree? I don't need to learn anything. So they think they know everything. There's no need to learn. And even if they make mistakes, they will hide those mistakes. So that is stage number one. Stage number two, they become lazy. They become complacent. They don't want to learn. They don't want to listen to others. And hence they are problem creators. But if you think in terms of growth mindset, now these people are very few in numbers who have made a conscious effort to develop their minds. And these are people who want to learn, like Lokesh sir, who Even if they want to help you, they help you with a smile. They want to learn, they want to relearn, they believe in self improvement, and mistakes are a part of learning for them. So you will have people in general, if you look around you, most people are partly, they have fixed ideas, but they also have potentially growth ideas. So it is up to us as senior executives, as learned, as educated people to decide which qualities, which aspects of my personality, and which aspects of my mindset I intend encouraging, nurturing, taking forward, and which will blossom in the future. So, education. Now, most people have both of it, but education plays a very important role. If academics can teach me discussions at meetings, brainstorming sessions, and these can be a very powerful way of opening my mind and taking me forward. I could also read books which are in this category. There are lots of books in psychology, there are lots of books in philosophy which tell us how the mind can develop. And or the third aspect could be I could take interviews of those who are great icons, those who have been successful at the world level, and I can learn from them. Another aspect, the fourth would be, taking up projects which are very, very challenging. This challenge could be in terms of where I have to handle lots of people or budgets which are very which have great numbers. So this new awareness, new learning will definitely increase my ability, and then I will be able to handle people. I know people will be part of my team, and I should go out to help them so that they all develop what we call as critical thinking, and new solutions to old problems can be found. This education and abilities and talents which we develop, it will definitely be reflected in a positive behavior. Positive behavior in the sense, what sort of an attitude am I going to have when I come to work? Is it going to be positive or is it going to be negative? Let me tell you a little story. Once there was a huge wall which was to be built. We take back home stories because they are linked with emotions. So once there was a huge wall which was to be built, and there were three masons, all A, B, C, all doing the same job. And what was the job? They were putting a brick, putting cement, leveling it, and raising the wall. I was very curious, so I went up to the first one and I asked him. He doesn't know English, but I asked him in Hindi, Bhai, aap kya kar rahe ho? For those who don't understand Hindi, I asked him, what are you doing? He made big eyes and looked at me. But still, I was adamant. I asked him again, Bhai, aap kya kar rahe ho? He said, Dikta nahi kya? Oh my God. I said, if this is the arrogant attitude, I didn't have the courage to ask him a second question. I just moved away and asked the second Mason the same question. Like in an interview, we ask the same question, but we get different answers. So I asked him, Bhai, aap kya kar rahe ho? He put his hand on his head and he said, Madam, kya karne ka? Shadi hui hai, बीबी बच्चे है, कमाना पड़ता है, कमाता हूं. 9 to 5 jobs which have no creativity. That's it. Then I went to the third one and asked him the same question. But he was like our Lokesh sir, ever smiling, ever helpful. He says, come, this wall is for everybody who can take pleasure. Similarly, our group here is for everybody who can share the joys and good thoughts. So we move ahead that education and challenges are going to help me. So characteristics our lifetime mission should be to build a new mind, to work with confidence, efficiency, and the new self. Now, what are the characteristics of this new mindset? First, I learned to accept challenges. What do I mean by challenges? Challenges are something which is demanding, something which seems to be a big problem, something which I cannot solve immediately as soon as I read it. So challenges could be in terms of accuracy, in terms of work. Challenges could be in terms of finding new solutions or taking up projects which have never been projects till now, something which is altogether new. Okay. Or how do I handle people? How do I keep them happy? How do I keep them motivated? But at the same time, they work with great commitment and interest. It's not just in simple language that you can tell somebody, hey, don't give up, continue. That seems to be very simple language, but it's not that. It is, what can I really do for them to keep them happy? So this learning, which goes beyond mistakes, challenges which don't remain challenges because now I find solutions to them. So resilience is a part of learning. See, we saw in the beginning, Amazon was dealing only with books. Later on, they thought they should spread their wings, and now you have Amazon in so many domains, practically all the domains which life can be demanding. So you find that, it was so that there are ways by which we can tackle situations. Remember Tata Motors, then it was known as Telco. And then they did not pay dividend for 4 consecutive years. So at one of the AGMs, a lot of shareholders made a lot of noise. I was one of them. And Ratan Tata, in his all humbleness, he folded hands and he said, sorry, I understand what your feelings are. Give me 4 years from now, and I will see that all of you get dividend. And he did make it into reality. So challenges can be tackled, challenges can be solved, and there are ways by which we can do it. Feedback is also a part of the same thing because it helps us improve. Here again, I'd like to mention a vehicle which Tata Motors had launched some time back, which was known as Sumo. And most people think this brand Sumo was a brand by which it was launched. No, it was launched, the name was given Sumo because there was a very senior executive who was very powerful, very successful by the name of Sumant Mulgaonkar. So Su from Sumant and Mo from Mulgaonkar, and this vehicle came into the market. It was mainly meant for rural areas, rugged roads where problems of driving were very intense. And the farmers and those in the rural areas gave a very negative feedback, but Tata Motors managed to handle it and later on relaunched it, repositioned that vehicle, and it was one of the most successful vehicles. So feedback, resilience, mistakes, challenges should bring about a certain motivation to deal with difficulties, motivation to really move ahead in this life. Now, when we look upon it, we must understand that those companies which have a certain purpose are companies which have been successful. Like, let us take the example of Google. When Google came into the picture, what was the purpose that it had? The purpose was to organize world information in such a way that it becomes accessible to anybody, everybody, at any time, and every piece of information would be useful. Similarly was the case with Nike. Nike thought in terms of having, sports and fitness. It was an inspiration to athletes to buy those shoes. Later, Nike came to China and they opened up the real posh, lots of showrooms. But surprisingly, there were no customers. And Nike and then had to hold its head and think what exactly is happening. So they thought of a new idea, unprecedented idea. Like they made a list of all the athletes from all the domains: badminton players, runners, athletes, swimmers, just everybody who was in the field. And they gave each one 3 pairs of shoes, 3 different sets, which had 3 different powerful functions. And then, when the general public and especially youngsters saw these athletes moving with these Nike shoes, suddenly sales zoomed up. So, creative ideas are there. We only need to apply our mind. Even coming nearer us, if you see IKEA, they thought in terms of better everyday life. So they designed small things or furnishings which were at an affordable price. And here was the game changer. So we can think of new ways, but we need to apply our mind. Just the other day, about a week ago, we heard Tesla with its EV focus and clean energy is coming with new solutions and to solve our problem. But sometimes you'll find that people who try to monkey copy others are not always successful. Let me share with you the example of Dettol, which wanted to create a healthier world. It had a name, it had fame, and it was doing very well. So Savlon came into the picture and they thought, if Dettol can be successful, why not I? And they also came into the market. But surprisingly, research has shown that Savlon was not as successful for the simple reason, which is very paradoxical, but it's a reality. It didn't spread the same smell what Dettol did. So here, that how hygiene is practiced is a very different phenomenon. Now these have been companies which have worked for a purpose. So as individuals, we also, if we have a purpose, we can be successful and we can be happy. But on the other hand, you find Netflix was facing problems from competitors, LinkedIn from TikTok. So some faced problems and others did, right? So it did have it what it is. So newer goals and positive thinking, if we realign ourselves, then it helps. Now, this growth mindset, who came up with this idea? It was a person called Carol Dweck. In 2006, he wrote a book called The New Psychology of Success, where he says that if people develop superior learning habits, then the growth mindset can be achieved. So encourage people to take mental efforts, positive development, praise people for both intelligence and the efforts. And this would be reflected in how they deal with negotiation skills, how they develop themselves. And it is exactly what Ratan Tata had said. If you want to be successful, walk alone. So develop these superior learning habits, and that would help us. Remember, as children, we used to all play a game called Statue. So there was some action, and then suddenly we stopped, and then at that point, if we can take the game in our field and reflect, Arey, can I not do better? What would be a new solution? How would it be a game changer? So here are ways by which challenges, mistakes, priorities can be relisted, new goals can be thought of, and positive thinking would always help. There have been some companies which have faced challenges and which have been successful, like Apple in 1997 was almost bankrupt. Microsoft said, we'll help you. You see, that's the way. Hello? Yeah. And GM had actually filed for bankruptcy, but with restructuring, it did well. On the other hand, you find when I was a child, there was Kodak, which was very famous in we thought of photography, but they did not adjust to the digital photography, and so there were decline in sales. Also, you'll find Blockbuster, which was movie streaming. They also didn't get into digital aspect, and that also went down. So we have some companies which were successful, others which were not successful, and that can help us. I go on to the next slide. So this new mindset at the workplace. So if we can, put on our thinking caps and really push the envelope, then let us realize that these things are possible. So what is the new mindset? First and foremost, we must understand that this new mindset is so powerful that it can be a game changer. So we all, think in terms of, we all have an intellect, but we don't think of it or we don't apply it. We don't think in the sense, we don't think in that direction. We have not applied it. How do I connect with everybody without displeasing anybody? This is a simple way so that everybody in my team is going to really participate in a very meaningful and inclusive manner. See, I'll tell you a little joke which happened in Pune. There is lots of rains, roads are bad, there are lots of potholes. There was a joke which said, hurry, when you're driving, if you come across a road, don't get scared because the pothole is just a little away. So here are ways, that new ways by which we can think how you approach your work, how we approach projects, how we approach people. This will bring about the change when we work, and we can keep ourselves happy and keep others happy. See, we have also learned neuro-linguistic communication, where they talk in terms that language can be so useful. So if each one of us can think that these two words, yet and more, what else can I do? What more can I do? Is there anything yet which I can do? With this, we embrace new areas of learning. And today we find AI has brought about such a, my God, today we find AI has brought about such a strong change that, our understanding, our education, the way we handle things, tally, and I don't know what else, so many of it, there are so many ways by which, tasks can be handled in a better manner. So it leaves us, it gives us the liberty to focus on more complex, more demanding, more innovative, more creative ways of doing things. So data analysis also, it helps us identify patterns, and we can make predictions. So here is something useful. Let us make use of this. Supply chain challenges are there, but we see the impact that it can create. Are threats going to be really threats, or threats are those which are challenges which we can handle and find solutions? It's like if I am in a boat out into the sea, I cannot stop the waves, but I do find my way how to sail along and reach the shore. So skills like negotiation skills, positive attitude, communication, these will create a new culture, and a culture which is lasting. So according to me, it is all very possible. And I'd like to just go back to what I have to say, that let us start believing in ourselves. And to some extent, self-talk helps us. So if I keep saying, I can grow, I can achieve, I can improve, I can learn, and do I really enjoy the work that I'm doing? And when we develop this SWOT analysis in terms of mind, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? Are they really weaknesses, or they are areas where I can improve? So I no longer have threats, but I have areas of improvement. And if I record doubts and difficulties which I have faced on the way, maybe when I take up the next project, or I'm dealing with another team, or I'm dealing with a customer who's very tough, I will have my solutions which are ready. So these are aspects which will bring about better productivity. I'm reminded of Andre Agassi, who the great tennis player, and he once at an interview, he said that basic aspects of existence are all there in tennis. So tennis uses the language of life. And I quote, they use words like advantage, service, fault, break, love. So all these are basic aspects of our existence. And from tennis, if we apply them to life, or from life to tennis, I don't know which way it goes. So when we read, we think, we reflect, and we act. So what is all that will have a great impact on productivity, because it will now bring a new meaning to my work. How do I see myself, and how do I see my others? Do I consider myself superior, or do I take everybody to be equal and a part of a team which works in collaboration and in unison? What feelings do I develop? What attitude do I have? How do I go about my work? What is this new culture which I create? So these new goals which I form and which I implement at my place of work, and then what are the adjectives? How do I describe myself? How do I describe my colleagues? How do I describe my teamwork? How do I describe my clients? So this us, not I, but us, how I'm impacting. Are you an obstacle to me, or are you going to help me? What would be my attitude? So with this, I can build trust. When I'm sitting with a colleague in the canteen and eating, say, a dosa or an idli or just anything, it is not the food which I'm sharing, but I'm trying to create a certain trust, a certain caring attitude. And this collective behavior is what which will take me forward. So I think what I have tried to say, I'm very clear. Now I'd like to just talk in terms of individual growth. How do individuals bring about this positive attitude? And the first list of names which come to my mind are Elon Musk or sorry, Satya Nadella
Ma'am,
or
1 minute.
Indira Nuri.
Ma'am,
Why? Because while working, these are people which have created so much trust in their people that when they came up with new ideas, just excuse me, because okay, so a certain trust was created. And because this trust was, so impactful, a certain level of respect was there. And innovative attitudes were now so damn accepted that they were working beyond the curve. So, individual growth and research in this world has shown that those who have this growth mindset are 4 times more successful. As an Indian example, I'd like to say a very simple example, which I read about a fortnight ago in the Times of India, was Indian hockey team for women. The government didn't much encourage them because they thought, what will they do? Ye kar payenge? What is ice hockey? It's not going to go forward. But they were so ingenious in their new ideas that they developed new skills, how to do it, how to manage themselves. They adapted themselves to the adverse circumstances, and they brought back a bronze medal for India. So why do we need to do this? So that my team performance increases, my employee engagement increases. How is more important what I offer in terms of continuous learning and acceptance. So new opportunities would be created, and opportunities which I value, where I can open up new windows and move ahead. So learning to collaborate, learning to work together is what will bring about a positive change. And if I'm a leader, then I think I need to think a little differently. In the sense, it's not just communication, but how do I connect myself with my people? What is the message that I share? How is my message going to be transferred and accepted? So that is the essence of your message, because a leader is no longer like in the past, who's going to be a commanding authority, but who's going to be humble, who's going to work with people, who is going to care for their emotions, who will have empathy, and he will always be a good listener. So adapting to these new situations, this democratic values, which is the demand of today's life and job, would be, these are what I call as quiet strengths. They are strengths, but they are quiet, and it just spreads everywhere in the company. So we have to empower ourselves, we have to empower others in this manner. So we create a safe and an inspired space where people are going to be happy. Now, as a professional, what do I mean when I say a professional growth? So it is the sharpening of one's knowledge, of one's skills, and other abilities. And how do I do it? I want to sharpen my knowledge, my skills, and my abilities, because if we look at it, our mind is like a mirror. We can adjust that mirror in such a way that it will reflect what I want. So how do I go about it? I improve first and foremost my communication skills, whether it is written, whether it is oral. And if I'm not very good in English, it's okay. I can have a team which will support me, which will advise me. So I work in collaboration, I work with advice, and I move ahead. Learning, we have already seen in terms of education or self-study, or some companies come up with certification. So we can join that and learn from them. Self-reflection from my own experiences, reflection from others' experiences will help me understand where I should improve, how I should improve, and how I should go about it. So I gain a certain level of new expertise where there is upskilling, reskilling, and by attending conferences, webinars, or online courses. See, today you have so many CAs who want to do ICWA, or they want to do CS. You have engineers who go and learn costing. You have engineers who learn management. So we can really change this job from 9 to 5, which I call a ritual job, to something which is spiritual. How do I do it? Because I pour myself entirely, tan, man, dhan, everything. And then it changes from ritual to spiritual. And here I'd like to mention the Harvard Business School does come up with lots of courses which are free, and they have very good online teaching. So if you want to be a Harvard graduate, please see that you join them. They launch them on certain times of the year, and they are very, very good. As an example, I'd like to say that these are not just on paper but in reality also. My husband, who was a medical doctor by profession, he was a diabetologist, but he had done some courses from Harvard Business School, online courses where they teach you coding and etc., etc. So he had made his own website for his clinic. Okay. Now, I come to the next part is how individual growth we have seen. What will be the effect of all that? Once I put on my thinking cap, let us understand quality will entail hard work. It's not going to be just basking in the sun with a book and a margarita, but it's going to be serious work where I will get more job satisfaction, where new opportunities will open up for me, and new opportunities, not just at the local level, even at the national level. I'd like to share an example out here. Infosys had a founder director by the name of Nilkalani. And Nilkalani, then he was working in Infosys. One fine day, he got a letter from the Prime Minister's office saying, please leave your job there, come to the center. We'll give you the position of a minister, cabinet minister, and you will be in charge of the Aadhaar card. So what we have is the Aadhaar card has been the brainchild of Nilkalani. So let us understand. So opportunities are always there once we make ourselves powerful and impactful. Higher salaries will always be there. Let us understand that when we develop our mind in this manner, this asset which we create, this is the only asset in the world where there is no depreciation, I think. Now, all this can be done by attending conferences, by reading research papers. And if we are serious, then we should decide that I'm not going to just attend a conference, but I'm also going to read a paper. If you let me share my own example very humbly. I don't mean to show off, but I'm trying to just share. Till now, throughout my career, I have attended about 100 seminars and conferences, and I have read a paper at each of these sessions. So I have 100 papers odd to my credit, and I have 3 international conferences which I have attended and read papers. So we can make a presentation, we can make a difference if we attend these training courses, if we take upon these large projects. See, a friend of mine, when he was asked to take up a project of mining, he said, no, I'm not going to do it. He was asked to take up another project out here regarding how to regarding a hospital. He said, no, I'm not going to do it. But if we hesitate, then I think we create a problem for ourselves. Let us learn to be more responsible. Like these IAS officers, once they are shifted from domain to domain, sometimes there is more responsibility, sometimes there is no more work. But we are fortunate enough to have technology which is going to help us. And over here, I'd like to say self-reflection. What is very important. We must learn to think on our feet. So education, SWOT analysis of ourselves. And, we must learn some permanent skills like technology, communication, and time management. So our thinking pattern altogether changes and it becomes more creative and not obstructive. So abilities and talents, it can change due to hard work and dedication. Let us be more mindful about these things. I have, I think, spoken about some companies with growth mindset. I've spoken about individuals, how it can be developed. So you'll find, nearer India, if you take the example of the Tatas, the Birlas, the Infosys, they have all encouraged this new mindset and growth mindset. That is why they are today where they are. Even Citibank, when it came to India, it thought, oh, how will I work in this country? People are so price conscious. Then they came up with new ideas and they were successful. So if we improve ourselves, say 1% every day, by the end of 3 months, what will happen? 100% improvement. So we can think in terms of how we can reach out to our customers. What are the technological proneness which I can learn and how I can go about it. So I think I've spoken in terms of companies, I've spoken in terms of individuals, I've spoken in terms of how it impacts at the workplace. So now I'd like to say that all of us have these abilities, intelligence, talents, and curiosity. It is there in each one of us. All these aspects are like matchboxes, matchsticks, which you have in a matchbox. Right? A matchbox has lots of sticks. So we also have abilities, intelligence, talents, curiosity. It is up to us which one am I going to pull and which one am I going to fire, because that is the way I'm going to enlighten the world. So let us take our own decisions and move ahead. So change can be the beginning of something very beautiful, something which is paying and career oriented. When Airtel came to India, they were very hesitant because they were the first one to introduce 4G. So they introduced it in Pune and in Calcutta. But payment was always a problem because we were living in a country where rural India was underbanked. So they came up with agents who would help them. And so leveraging technology in terms of, B2B or B2C can really bring about a lot of change. Even customer engagement is again a powerful field where if I really work, I can create wonders. So once a customer comes to me, no matter what happens, he should be happy with me. Sorry. And he should not leave me till the end of my work, end of my service. So this should be our attitude. And with this, you'll find there are lots of mentors who help us move ahead. Infosys Hub is there where there's mentorship, there where they teach in workshops. So we can change from ritual to spiritual. And all this is like, it's not disconnected, what I'm trying to say. It all is like a mosaic, which is beautiful, which has value, and each unit has its own value, abilities, intelligence. All that I need to do is let us learn to celebrate this journey of transformation, where I make changes not just in policy, but in deep learning outcome and that which will bring about a change. I think I have touched upon all the points which I wanted to, and I hope I have reached out to all my listeners. I thank each one of you for being very patient. I hope my stories have been useful. And see, at the end of it, I'd like to say one last story. If we go into the forest, we do come across a giraffe. Which are the leaves a giraffe picks? Those which are fresh, those which are on top, those which are powerful, those which are nutritious. So let us
ये तो
think.
तुम ले जाएगा ना
It doesn't pick
बस
leaves,
के ले जाएगा
leaves
हाँ
which are fallen on the ground. Nor does it happen when a lion sees an elephant, it says, oh God, it's so big, how will I kill it? It thinks in terms of food, which will make me nutritious, which will make me happy. So there are stories in nature around us in companies and individuals. I've taken a lot of names of individuals and companies and stories to reinforce my ideas. So with this last word, a great thank you, and I stop here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So
I
anyone
I
want?
I hope it was full.
Yes, yes, ma'am. The stories I was listening, uh, each one of them was very special. Especially the Mason story that you told, that three persons are working on the same work, but
Yeah.
they are working with a different mindset. Obviously, they have to do the work, but with unwillingly, if they are doing, they are not going to get a good output.
Yeah.
So anyone has any doubts or